Shalom Yasha'Allah. First and foremost, we give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash, the bonus of our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that pushing great gospel and sincerity and truth. This your brother Tazakiah Yahweh from the Great Millstone Synonapollis camp, coming at you another lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and Lord willing be edifying. Got the article here from The Guardian, and it reads, Hurricane Ian, flooding, outages, confusion. Florida reels as Hurricane Ian death toll rises. And it says, stories of tragedy and delay emerge as search and rescue teams discover survivors and fatalities. And this came out Monday, October 3rd, the year 2022, the year Yahweh Bashim Shai turning up. And it reads, as Florida continues grappling with the devastating aftermath of Hurricane Ian, the state's death roll mounts and stories of tragedy and delay emerge. Over 81 people are confirmed dead, which that was as of Monday. Over 81 people are confirmed dead, and that toll is expected to rise. Rescue crews working brutal shifts, sometimes 20 hours long, are still combing through the wreckage, and flooding continues in many parts of the state. It says, Florida has mobilized more than 5,200 troops from its National Guard, operating from airboats and helicopters. Those troops, the U.S. Coast Guard, and local fire, police, and search and rescue agencies have been scouring afflicted areas for survivors, though their efforts have been slowed by lack of electricity, cell phone service, and infrastructure. After cutting a swath of destruction through Cuba, Hurricane Ian, which we know that the so-called Cubans would be the northern kingdom of the tribe of Manasseh, the half tribe of Manasseh. So the so-called Cubans are, to be the Manassites. But it says, so that was, Lord bringing judgment there. And they say Hurricane Ian made landfall in southwest Florida last Wednesday, September 28th, as a potent Category 4 storm. Thousands of Floridians evacuated or sought refuge in emergency shelters. Here, a little image right here. Damn, you see, you got some cars submerged, and that's in Orlando, Florida. Definitely, Lord willing, Yahweh Shemashai definitely keep those brothers, brothers and the sisters, the believers down there, and it's out of harm's way, within in safety, Lord willing that He does that, which we through the Spirit we believe, so that He'll do anyway. Definitely have care for, His chosen. Lord willing, those brothers be the elect. The believers down there, likewise as all of us as well. It says, Ian brought violent storm surges and 20 inches of rain, meaning many residents who thought they were safe after surviving the storm's winds then had to face terrifying flooding. After a storm has passed, that 48-hour period offers the greatest opportunity to find survivors. Miami Fire Department Captain Ignatius Carroll Jr. told the New York Times. As of Sunday, more than 1,600 people had been rescued. The Florida governor's office said the situation is an emotional roller coaster. The city manager of Naples, Jay whatever, he said people need to take care of their emotional and mental health because we're really going to need to work together on this. The tense mood in Florida has been heightened by debates over whether local authorities had sufficiently prepared for the storm or reacted quickly enough once it took aim at the state's west coast. For example, Lee County, which had been especially hard hit, waited to issue an evacuation order until less than 24 hours before Ian made landfall. County officials had initially thought that the area would avoid the storm's direct path. The county commissioner, Kevin Ruan, has defended the local government's handling of the order. As soon as we saw the model shift northeast, we did exactly what we could to encourage evacuation, Ruan said on Sunday. He said that some residents became complacent and didn't seek shelter. And that's what a lot of people gonna do. And like I could take, we can take that spiritually, just like we speaking about the storm coming, right? In the sense of the destruction, we speaking about that's coming, and what since things been going on, how's been going on, we've been prophesying and preaching at the end, we in the end times and death and destruction coming, but it don't happen right then and there when it's prophesied. What do people do? They get complacent and they go back to that. They may hear you, or if they care about it, they just they just in they folly, right? And what happened? These people got caught unawares as a thief in the night, wishing that they did seek shelter. And the way that you seek shelter spiritually is what? Ultimately, this truth. Saying being immersed and buried, in the scriptures, but ultimately, being in this truth. Those will be the ones, the elect, that they gonna receive shelter, refuge when that storm, so to speak, come, when Jacob's trouble, when all hell breaks loose, So you don't want to be complacent and settle on your leads, not doing nothing, thinking everything gonna be okay, because as as this article is pretty much saying, that it definitely wasn't, and it did say that they took too long to get ready. Didn't think that this is gonna happen, right? Just like a lot of people don't think that the things we're speaking of gonna happen, and best believe Yahweh Shemel Shai is gonna bring it to pass, right? So I just want to, I just seen the connection with that. It says power line repair workers are laboring around the clock to restore electricity to the hundreds of thousands of homes that are without service. A utility official has said it could be weeks or months before parts of the state are back on the grid. Damn. 98% of Cape Coral's power infrastructure was obliterated. The city's fire chief and emergency management director told CNN there are also more than 100 boil water advisories across Florida, according to the state's health department. It says, adjusted for inflation, Ian may be the second most costliest storm to ever strike Florida after 1992 Hurricane Andrew. A research firm, CoreLogic, has estimated that the storm will incur as much as $47 billion in insured losses, $22 billion to $32 billion in wind damage, and $6 billion to $15 billion in flood damage. Damn. That's it, man. Whew. It said Hurricane Ian will forever change the real estate industry and city infrastructure. And Associate Vice President at the firm, Tom Larson, asserted in a news release, insurers will go into bankruptcy. Homeowners will be forced into delinquency, and insurance will become less accessible, right? It says the storm was especially devastating in the Southwest, right? Because that's some things that we never really take in consideration. Like, yeah, you see, people got destroyed, people lost this and lost that, but we never think about the ones who got to go into bankruptcy and who will be considered delinquency, and insurance now being less accessible. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never think of those things. Those are things that hit the people as well. Not only that the actual storm and its physical things, but also what you got to do as far as like your social type of things, and saying monetary wise, all that all that take a hit as well, right? It say the storm was especially devastating, right? And it didn't say that many great miseries that happened to them, that in the latter times, because they have dwelt in great pride, roughly paraphrasing. And this is part of miseries. Miseries ain't got to be from a pestilence or a famine or, uproars or whatever, like uproars of people. No, like those are attributed to miseries, but these storms, devastating. Look at all this money that's going to cost to fix this. It said 98% will never be the same again. That's a misery, It says the storm was especially devastating in Southwest Florida's barrier islands. Ian destroyed the causeway connecting Sanibel Island from the mainland, cutting off residents from immediate supplies and aid. Right there, that's bad. They cut off from supplies and aid, left out there to dry by themselves. That ain't that ain't a light thing. You say local fire and police officials have also expressed trepidation about looting or violence, though so far there have not been any significant outbreaks of lawlessness. So that means what? It ain't been any significant, but guess what? It has been outbreaks of lawlessness, right? Because why? I said what the power and stuff is out, right? There's these areas are so damaged to where they can't send the help, immediately as they want to. So you got those who gonna be around who done lost whatever they done lost or been eyeing whatever somebody else got. Now here's the time we can come get it because the law enforcement ain't out there to enforce this or that, right? People gotta understand that these storms bring these opportunities for, evil things to happen, right? It's an evil thing in itself to bring a destructive storm for a good reason, for the wickedness, especially of Babylon the Great. But yeah, like then like yeah, that leads to a lot of stuff. Also, stuff like this, these floods can lead to more pestilences and stuff like that, and certain parts can be destroyed to where they may grow this and grow that. These things can they have like a chain reaction, if you understand. They say after 3 or 4 days, people are frustrated, aggravated. Vincent Pangalo, a member of a rescue team working in Fort Myers Beach, told the New York Times. They think the power is supposed to turn back on. Pagalo added, they become agitated and they start going to see what they can get from their neighbor because their neighbor's gone. And the next thing you know, looting begins. Exactly. We can't get what we need. We're going to go to somebody who got it. Right? It's a do not disaster sightsee, Florida's emergency management division director Kevin Guthrie said on Monday. Anyone going to an area just to see the damage needs to leave. Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are visiting Puerto Rico and Florida this week to show the White House support. The Bidens will arrive in Florida on Wednesday. So I guess like sometime later today, since, it technically is Wednesday, it's 2:30 a.m. right now. It says climate scientists have concluded that global heating has strengthened storms, which feed on warm ocean water. Since 1980, they have been an increasing number of powerful Category 4 and 5 storms, the New York Times have reported. Right? And that's what this is what scientists, they give credit to Mother Nature versus giving credit to the one who created Earth in itself. Talk about some global heating, then you got global cooling, then global warming, then climate change, all this BS, right? We understand this Yahweh Shai who sent this storm. And going back to the top, just to read over again, right? This is Hurricane Ian, flooding, outages, confusion, and Florida reels as Hurricane Ian death toll rises, right? And again, definitely a special prayer out to all the brothers and sisters, who definitely out there, the true believers down there in Florida. That, like I said, may Yahweh Shai keep you, within this protection, within his hands, and deliver you, provide for you everything that you may need if you were impacted or not. Just definitely and anybody in maybe neighboring states as well who may be affected by it in a way. Lord willing, Yahweh Shai have you in his hands, to the elect out there, but that's all I definitely got on that. So we're going to get some scriptures. Some of these you should, definitely be familiar with, especially this one. Isaiah chapter 29, verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. It didn't say you're going to be visited with global heating, and global, climate change, and you're gonna be met with the HARP system. No, it say thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts. The Lord Yahweh Shai sent this storm, right? And it had its purpose, right? What could those purposes be? Really, to like those ones who died, they didn't die for no reason. They didn't die in vain. Oh, the storm, they got called up. No, those people was wicked. That's why they died that way. That's not a light way to die, to be drowned in whatever the hell swung by winds and stuff, whatever. I ain't never been, I'm from the Midwest. I ain't never been in a hurricane, but, I studied and see what they, what they do, so that's not for you to be drowned. That's a horrible way to die, right? You know what I'm saying? And then also what? That it sends, pretty much it's the actual warning, a repetitive warning that Yahweh Shai sends when he sends these type of storms to what? For those who may survive, for them to look towards and look to and be grateful to Yahweh Shai, ultimately coming to the marvelous light, to this truth. But that's for some who escaped and got away. Trust and believe there's a judgment, a far more worse judgment that's waiting for you, that's going to be delivered unto thee. But at the end of the day, we know that this was a visitation from Yahweh Shai. Right? Amos chapter 3, verse 6, because will we all agree, when all the people agree, of course, we in the know, we know differently, but wouldn't everybody all agree that this is a horrible thing? This is bad, right? This is Amos chapter 3, verse 6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? And then I made mention of that, like that little analogy about people was warned, but they was complacent and didn't seek shelter. This was the men of the Lord, the prophets of Yahweh Shai, day in and day out, video pistol or going down the highways and byways or whatever case may be, sit downs, blowing the trumpet, warning the people. You should be afraid of the things that's being said that's going to come to pass. But from that, for you, that initial fear, then you should do what? Try your best to conform your ways to the ways of Yahweh Shai, so that you may be saved. But we know most of our people will not do that, right? But you can't say that the trumpet wasn't blown, that the alarm wasn't sent out. Just like when I guarantee they got, uh, what's those sirens that go off when the storm coming, like over here, like the tornado siren go off because it's giving you a warning, something's on its way. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the men of the Lord are. They that warning going out to the people. Right? Shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? Shall they be evil or a bad time in the city? And the Lord Yahweh shall have not done it. Would this be considered a bad time in the city? A hurricane come and the death toll is keep going and people's lost and they done lost this and over $40-some billion of damage has been done. Did that sound like a good time? No, this was a bad time. And it said what? And the Lord have not done it. The Lord was behind this bad time. As a matter of fact, NLT it. Amos chapter 3, verse 6. When the ram's horn blows a warning, right? As I spoke of, the prophets are a warning. Shouldn't the people be alarmed? They should be. Does disaster come to a city unless the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, has planned it? So what this is saying, no disaster will come to a city or to a place unless the Lord sanctioned it. So that's the Lord taking credit of those evil things that happen. Verse 7, and how can we declare it unto you? Surely the Lord power, Yahweh Shemashai power, will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants the prophets. He revealeth the secrets to his servants the prophets, the men of the Lord, right? The ones that you see out there, the true ones, because you got people that go out there who, like I said, give credit to they doing the work, they teaching their people, but they doctrine is flawed, and they lying to people, also in the same breath as teaching the people the truth, right? Lord willing, those who listen to those congregations, hey, the elect get drawn out of that, which we believe, but those who continue to follow that path shall be destroyed. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, you got your righteous prophets out there, you got the wicked ones. Somebody got to play that role. But the point of this scripture is what? The men, the true men of Yahweh Shemashai will tell you that, hey, it was the Lord who brought this. To hell what man can do, or we got this, he got that, or to hell with global climate, or whatever, global warming. No, this was sent by Yahweh Shemashai. It was not no accident, right? This is another one. Salakia. This is Nahum chapter 1. I'll start at verse 1, points in 3. The burden of Nineveh, right, which was ancient Assyrian, the capital of the ancient Assyrian Empire. It says, the book of the vision of Nahum, the Elkoshite. It says, which is like, the Elkoshite was the land that he was standing around there. So don't get crazy. Oh, yeah, Elkoshite. No son named Elkoshite of the 12 sons of, Jacob. But it says, verse 2, God or Yahweh Shemashai is jealous, and the Lord Yahweh Shemashai revengeth. The Lord Yahweh Shemashai revengeth and is furious because, hey, look around going on the world right now. What is there to please Yahweh Shemashai besides his men pushing forth his gospel, his doctrine, right? Nothing to smile upon besides that, right? It say, the Lord Yahweh Shemashai will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. And who is his adversaries and who is his enemies? Well, first and foremost, we understand that these other nations definitely are his adversaries and his enemies. But also the 2/3 are people who take the sides and want to be like these heathens. Didn't you yourself turn against Yahweh Shemashai and become his enemy? And you are the main ones who he is judging because it was you 2/3, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, it was you who was given the law, statutes, and commandments. But you chose to serve other gods. Therefore, wrath and destruction is meant for thee, right? Verse 3, the Lord Yahweh Shemashai is slow to anger, right? He's slow to anger. He's long-suffering. He give you a time period to where, you keep going down the wrong path. And he give you a time period to get it right. But after a while, he going to act in judgment when you don't. It's a great in power and will not at all acquit the wicked, right? Definitely not going to be acquitted at all for nothing. But also, you 2/3, you're not going to be acquitted for your wickedness as well. It say, the Lord Yahweh Shemashai have his way in the whirlwind, in the storm, right? And we understand that a whirlwind could be contributed to two things, a whirlwind of chariots, but also it could be just, as I say, a whirlwind, a storm, like a hurricane. and the clouds are the dust of his feet. So it's Yahweh Bashim Shai. He had his way. He controlled this storm that came to pass, that killed those people, that misplaced those people, that destroyed infrastructure, that did all these things. Why? Because this is part of the Lord's vengeance he's taken upon his adversaries. Right? It makes me think of this scripture really quick. This is verse 26, Proverbs chapter 10, verse 25. It say, as the whirlwind passeth, so is the wicked no more. But the righteous is an everlasting foundation. And I just think about that, like, hey, a hurricane is considered a whirlwind. And when it came through and did what it did, what did it do? It uprooted those that were wicked, cleansed them out. You know, it say, but the righteous is an everlasting foundation. And who's the foundation that the hopeful elect, like I said, the brothers and sisters down there building upon? The foundation of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Right? And that's an everlasting, you know what I'm saying? But all those other people who, you know what I'm saying, who would be considered wicked, hey, they was called up to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. That was their punishment that they received. You know, so that just made me think about that scripture. But really, no need to go on too much. I'm gonna end it off with this right here. This is Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 5. The just Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is in the midst thereof. Right? He will not do iniquity. So it say he's just and righteous and lawful and right. So it say what? He will not do iniquity. He don't do that which is evil or ungodly or, you know, full of guile. He don't do things like that. Right? And say every morning do if he bring his judgment to light. Every day, trust and believe, judgment is going out. Judgment is going out from the east, the west, the north, the south, southeast. Judgment is going on each and every day. Somebody's being judged right about now as we speak, as you tuning in. You know, somebody's getting judged right about now. And we have to be grateful, you know, definitely take things seriously, first and foremost about ourselves, but, you know, take things seriously that we are to be grateful that it could have been us being taken out right now. The ghost could be taken from us, right? Those who's, you know, the hopeful elect. But the mercy has been shed upon us to have this grace period to right our wrongs and get on the right track before that day of judgment come. And hey, there's gonna be that separation, whether it be of the 1/3 and of the 2/3 over here in Babylon the Great. There it is. But of course, you know, to the rest of the, you know, the Israelites on the four corners of the earth, hey, some of them gonna be judged over there too. He's to be saved as well. Like you said, he gonna gather his elect from the four corners of the earth. So at the end of the day, it's two things: those who be saved and those who be destroyed. Lord will be those to be saved, right? So say, every morning do we bring his judgment to light. He faileth not. He's not going to fail when it's time for judgment. Ain't no, I thought I got by. I cheated death. No. You know what I'm saying? No, he has a date for you if you are allowed it to be destroyed, right? But the unjust, no shame, man. I guarantee you, like I said, we know it's camps all through Florida. I know for a fact. I've been there to visit the brothers in Orlando, you know. they out there pushing the word faithfully every day. Go out on the highways and byways every day. The word definitely been taught out there. Yeah, as we know, even before, you know, me even coming in. The word's out there, and what? People listening, people looking at it crazy, laughing, hissing, you know, saying, talking shit, whatever the case may be. And guess what? Some of them people probably got swept away in Hurricane Ian. You know what I'm saying? But hey, what they gonna do when that great whirlwind come, when Yahweh Shai and the holy angels pull up? If you make it to that point, then what you gonna do then? Right? But as I say, you know, the unjust know no shame. So yeah, you get told what to do, which is right. I ain't trying to hear that. I'm gonna keep going to my wickedness. Death is gonna be waiting for you at the end of the day. You know. So that's pretty much all I got on that. You know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to sincere Akim Akwafim out there listening. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that puts his great gospel in sincerity and truth. Shalom, Yasha Allah, Abai, Babal.